Sunrise and streaming on crossroadstoday.com. A family voices outrage as a murder case that struck a Crossroads community reaches a plea deal. And one major late-night name set to return tonight. Why not every station will see his return. Plus another update about a body found in Victoria.
And for your Tuesday, we're going to be looking a bit steamy out there with heated to seas today up to 110. Before all of that changes tomorrow, we have an alert day in effect for possible heavy rain and severe weather. All that and weather coming up.
Which game will be our game of the week here for week 5? I'll tell you later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, Crossroads, and welcome to your Tuesday morning as we continue down our path toward more fall-like feels outside.
Yes, it's on the way, I promise y'all. It's actually going to be feeling really nice on Thursday, so get out there and plan something for Thursday and for the rest of this week, because before that gets here, we actually got a bit of a hot one. And then we got a rainy one in the forecast for tomorrow. And I promise we're going to look at all that later, because before we get there, we got a warm and real humid morning out there. Got a nice pretty sunrise as well in the background. 75 is what we're starting at for the air temperature in Victoria, but the dew point still only a degree off at 74. Bringing us the high 96% humidity, which would technically be enough to see some fog. You can see computer says of 7-mile visibility. That means, if anything, it's going to be really, really light. So don't worry about fog this morning. You can see all across the Crossroads, not too bad. That's thanks to a little bit of mixing in the air, both thanks to high pressure nearby and also with our winds that have returned out of the Gulf. That's why we're all warm this morning, mid and upper 70s. Even low and mid 80s on the coast next to that warm Gulf water. The sun hasn't even come up yet, and it's in the mid 80s down there. And the rest of Texas is following suit with those Gulf winds, but not the Panhandle, because they just had a cool front. That's not the one we're tracking. We're going to be tracking that one right there. I promise we'll look at it later, because if you're sending your kiddos out the door this morning, it's going to be sunny in the morning, but we will have some afternoon showers, and we'll look at those details next.
The case of a man accused of murdering a teenager from Edna may be reaching an end soon with a brand new development. Rafael Govea Romero has been offered by the Jackson County District Attorney a plea deal in the murder of Edna cheerleader Lisbeth Medina. Lisbeth's family was notified Monday of the plea deal. The family says that as part of the plea deal, Govea Romero will be sentenced to 30 years in state prison. Lisbeth was murdered on December 5th, 2023. Romero was indicted for the murder in February of 2024. In a statement to the station, Lisbeth's mother, Jacqueline, says she feels let down, hoping Govea Romero would receive a harsher sentence for killing her daughter. She also says she hopes that one day she can be strong enough to forgive the killer despite the, quote, devastation she feels. The prosecution expects Romero to plead guilty Thursday morning at the Jackson County Courthouse. Before that, at 7:30, the community will hold a prayer vigil at the courthouse in memory of Lisbeth. Victoria police have identified the body found late Friday night at a car wash on Houston Highway. At around 11 o'clock, a passing driver saw someone on the ground leaning against a wall. Officers say the man, 34-year-old John Simpson of Victoria, was already dead when they arrived. An autopsy will be done to figure out what caused his death. The day before, 46-year-old Benny Morales was found dead in a parking lot on East North Street, less than a mile away. Police say it does not appear the two deaths are related in any way. President Donald Trump is set to address the UN General Assembly today. Many are waiting to hear what, if anything, he says about Gaza. About 80% of UN members now back Palestinian statehood after 9 recognized it this week. Recognizing a Palestinian state is largely symbolic without the U.S., and the Trump administration is not pushing for that statehood. In fact, it's barring Palestinian leaders from the General Assembly by denying them visas. A UN inquiry has concluded Israel is committing genocide in Gaza. Now to Jimmy Kimmel and his return to late night following his comments in the wake of the Charlie Kirk shooting. Disney, but not all ABC stations, will be airing his show tonight. ABC's Perry Russum has the details.
Overnight, Jimmy Kimmel's competitor Stephen Colbert reacting to the news. Kimmel is returning to late night TV.
We got word that our long national late nightmare is over. And plus, now that Jimmy's not being canceled, I get to enjoy this again.
Disney ABC announcing the decision after pausing the show indefinitely following comments Kimmel made last week about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Disney saying, last Wednesday we made the decision to suspend production on the show to avoid further inflaming a tense situation at an emotional moment for our country. It is a decision we made because we felt some of the comments were ill-timed and thus insensitive. We have spent the last days having thoughtful conversations with Jimmy, and after those conversations, we reached the decision to return the show on Tuesday. The temporary pause came after FCC Chairman Brendan Carr appeared to threaten action against local broadcasters who aired Kimmel's show.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Yesterday, Carr denied threatening to revoke the licenses of ABC stations that aired Kimmel's show, saying instead Disney made a business decision to take the comedian off the air.
That takes place between local television stations that are licensed by the FCC and what we call national programmers like Disney. They work that out, and there doesn't need to be any involvement of the FCC.
Sinclair, one of the biggest owners of network TV affiliates, says it still will not air the show despite Kimmel's reinstatement. The company saying discussions with ABC are ongoing as we evaluate the show's potential return.
Perry Russum, ABC News, New York.
An investigation is underway in Houston after 3 people were fatally shot inside of an apartment Monday afternoon. Officers confirmed 2 women and a man were shot and killed. Investigators did not say if a weapon had been recovered, and it is not clear if this is a murder or murder-suicide. There was no sign of forced entry. The White House is clarifying its change to H-1B visas after workers, companies, and foreign governments scrambled to respond to the latest immigration restrictions. The surprise order from the Trump administration announced a new $100,000 fee on some visas. The White House later clarified that existing holders of the H-1B visas for skilled workers are not affected, and the fee is a one-time charge limited to new petitions. Authorities have identified the couple killed in Saturday night's plane crash just north of Louise. They were 62-year-old Michael McCoy, a retired U.S. Air Force lieutenant colonel, and his wife Heather, both from Fair Oaks Ranch near San Antonio. The Wharton County Sheriff's Office says the couple was flying a vintage T6 Texan when it went down. They were pronounced dead at the scene. Loved ones say the two shared not only a long marriage, but also a deep passion for aviation. Remember, follow us on YouTube, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click that notification bell. The time now, let's get a look at our clock up here at 6:38 on our Tuesday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up next on 25 News Now Sunrise. It's that season again. Important health steps to consider as colder months approach.
President Trump prepares to deliver a foreign policy speech before the United Nations General Assembly today. I'm Nicole D'Antonio in Washington with the details and the major topics on the president's agenda.
And also coming up next after the break in the short-term forecast, you heard me say it's going to be a hot one, but with a rain chance. So coming up next, I'll tell you just when I think that rain might be here. Well, good morning, Crossroads, and happy Texas Taco Tuesday. For your Tuesday, the weather is going to be quite similar to yesterday, Monday, in terms of everything. We're talking the sky cover, the heat, humidity, wind speed, wind direction, and even the rain chances. So starting out with the rain, you're going to see on your future tracker, we're going to have, just like yesterday, a 30% chance, 30. And in the morning time, that'll be for along the coast. You can see a couple isolated showers happening in the morning time on the coastline, that 30% happening for y'all. But in the inland counties, that'll come somewhere between 11 a.m. right here all the way up until about 5 p.m. That's when we're going to start seeing that rain activity start transitioning inland to our inland counties, Highway 59 and northward. But that'll be with us, like I said, from 11 a.m. up until about 5 p.m. We'll see a few scattered or isolated showers around the area before that cuts off around 5/6 p.m. And then we're going to be looking pretty clear for overnight tonight, which is great for any kind of stargazing or moon viewing weather. Now going into tomorrow, everything changes like I've been saying, and I'm just going to show you a quick sneak peek. You can see much of tomorrow afternoon and evening, it's going to be raining, so don't have any plans tomorrow, I would recommend. But before any of that fun stuff gets here, we got to deal with the heat. Looking for 94 in Victoria, which is about 5 degrees above where we're supposed to be, and everyone else looking at mid-90s, maybe even upper 90s and low 100s in western counties. And if that's not hot enough, the humidity is going to be playing a factor today, 105 to 110 in the inland and 115 possible on the coast. So y'all stay safe in the heat before the rain and the front gets here tomorrow. And we're going to look at that next.
Happy Tuesday morning here, Crossroads. Can't believe we're halfway through the high school football season. The game of the week here for week 5. We're going to see Tidehaven again as they're going to battle another 4-0 team currently in the Wallace Brazos Cougars. And according to Tidehaven head coach David Lucille, he mentioned this could be a deciding game later on for the district title, even though it's their first game in district play for Tidehaven. Now, they've been dominant so far for the Tigers. They've had big-time wins over Goliad in week 2, and then they beat Ganado last week, 38-12 in a top-ranked battle. The Tigers, they relied on quarterback Cale Russell, who's been dominant this season. They've also got big production from wide receiver TJ Galvin and Bookie Galvin there, and both brothers kind of helped out again the passing game with Cale Russell this season. Now on the defensive side, they've only allowed 26 total points from their past 4 games for Tidehaven. They're looking to kind of keep that consistency versus Wallace Brazos. They're on the road there for week 5. That game will start at 7 p.m. This is Max Williams, 25 News Now Sports.
Today, President Trump will be in New York to deliver a foreign policy speech before the United Nations General Assembly. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio is in Washington with details.
This morning, President Trump prepares to address hundreds of world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly in New York. The president is expected to slam globalist institutions in his speech while making the case for his administration's foreign policy record, which has seen a significant reduction in foreign aid.
President Trump will deliver a major speech touting the renewal of American strength around the world.
The president is also expected to hit on the wars in Ukraine and Gaza while pushing for peace. The UN General Assembly has repeatedly condemned Russia's actions in Ukraine. On Monday, Poland's foreign minister had a blunt warning for Russia following drone incursions earlier this month.
We know you don't care for international law and you are incapable of living in peace with your neighbors. Your insane nationalism contains a lust for domination that will not cease until you realize that the age of empires is over and that your empire will not be rebuilt.
It comes as France joins a growing number of key allies, including Britain, Canada, and Australia, now formally recognizing a Palestinian state.
Le temps est venu.
French President Emmanuel Macron saying the time for peace has come between Israelis and Palestinians, adding we can no longer wait. But Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu slamming the decision, saying there will be no Palestinian state. President Trump also opposes recognizing a Palestinian state, but says he wants to find a diplomatic solution. President Trump is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with the UN Secretary General and leaders of Ukraine, Argentina, and the European Union. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
It's that time of year to think about the vaccines you might need as we head into fall and winter. David Gonzalez with the Victoria County Public Health Department says flu cases are expected to be high this season. This season, especially the H1N1 and the H3N2 strains. The CDC recommends an annual flu vaccination for everyone 6 months and older. To stay ahead of the flu, the county health department will soon be offering vaccines to the public.
So we'll have flu vaccine coming available in about 2 weeks on Tuesdays and Thursdays here at the health department for the general public. We'll be offering those to both adolescents as well as adults, and those will be available here in the nursing division.
The health department will offer flu shots for adults and children 6 months and older for $40. For ages 65 and older, the high-dose vaccine will be available for $75 and are Medicaid eligible. The time now, let's get a look at our clock up here. It's 6:45 on our Tuesday morning. Still to come on Sunrise, controversy surrounds recent health advice from the White House about a common medication for pregnant women. All right, it's time to celebrate some birthdays. Happy birthday to Captain America. Actor Anthony Mackie is 47 today.
That's right. Happy birthday, Anthony. And also, the boss is celebrating a birthday, Bruce Springsteen. He's turning 76 today. Happy birthday, Bruce. And to see your birthday wish live on 25 News Now Sunrise, you can come to crossroadstoday.com. Just click the drop-down menu, then click the Home tab, and then you'll see Submit Your Birthday Photo.
Okay, the time is now 6:46 on our Tuesday morning. Happy birthday to Charlene, and happy birthday to you if you're celebrating one today.
That's right, and also happy birthday to my doggie, who is probably watching at home. Her name is Autumn. But thank you all so much. Happy birthday if you're celebrating today. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Well, good morning, Crossroads. I'm sure a lot of y'all saw the 7-day forecast a few moments ago, or maybe you didn't, and you're just super impatient like me, impatient to get this cool front coming through tomorrow night. Well, we're all impatient for it. We're excited for it, but we also might need to take that with a grain of salt because we have an alert day in effect for tomorrow afternoon and evening. That's going to go for all 13 of our Crossroads counties, to which y'all could expect when that front comes through tomorrow night. Looking at possibility of heavy flooding rainfall, 3 to 5 inches for some of us, and maybe some damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour or greater, and also technically possibly some small pocket change size hail, which would be less than an inch in diameter. So don't really need to worry about that, but more so need to worry about the heavy rain situation and maybe some strong gusty winds as this line of storms forms along the edge of that front. Here is the high resolution rapid refresh model, and I'm showing you this one first because this one agrees with what I think is going to happen tomorrow night. You can see a little bit of rain continuing into the evening of Wednesday night, but also into Thursday morning. Whereas this computer, which I agree with for the afternoon, is not showing any rain for the evening time. You can see 3 p.m. Wednesday afternoon looking a bit messy out there for the rain, so don't have any plans tomorrow. I would recommend no plans, but this one, like I said, doesn't show any rain for the evening. I think it's going to continue raining into Wednesday evening and also a bit into Thursday morning as well. But like I said, do not have any plans tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon. It is probably going to be a bit wet out there for most of us, to which it might even be too wet, which is why we have an excessive rainfall outlook, level 1 out of 4. It's marginal. Low about 5%. That's why that's going to be our highest risk for severe weather tomorrow. Pocket change size hail can't be ruled out, and also the risk for damaging winds. And we're going to look at all of that and more later on Sunrise.
Now to the new reaction to the Trump administration's claim that taking Tylenol during pregnancy may be linked to autism. The president directly appealing to pregnant women to limit their use of Tylenol, but this morning, experts are pushing back. ABC's Elizabeth Scholze has the details.
This morning, medical groups are criticizing President Trump after he urged pregnant women to stop taking Tylenol, claiming it could lead to a higher risk for autism.
Don't take Tylenol. Don't take it. If you just can't, it's fight like hell not to take it.
Trump claiming the active ingredient in Tylenol, acetaminophen, is tied to a rise in autism cases. The administration saying it will now advise doctors to prescribe Tylenol only in cases where a high fever would pose a risk to the fetus.
That's, for instance, in cases of extremely high fever, that you feel you can't tough it out, you can't do it. I guess there's that.
The American Academy of Pediatrics saying Trump's news conference was filled with dangerous claims and misleading information. The Coalition of Autism Scientists saying the claims made only stoke fear and falsely suggest hope when there is no simple answer. The White House pointing to a handful of studies that show a possible link between autism and Tylenol. But all existing studies stop short of showing cause and effect.
This question was also researched back in 2024. A large study involving over 2 million children found, specifically when looking at siblings, that the use of acetaminophen during pregnancy was not associated with adverse outcomes in terms of neurodevelopmental disorders such as autism.
The FDA commissioner defending the Trump administration, saying they want to inform, not instruct.
Acetaminophen has been given willy-nilly, way too frequently, without any discussion of the potential risks.
But many doctors worry the administration's announcement will make pregnant women hesitate to treat a fever.
Uncontrolled fevers in pregnancy pose an increased risk of miscarriage, of neurodevelopmental defects.
Elizabeth Scholze, ABC News, New York.
And that leads us to your viewer poll. Today you can scan the QR code to take part in our viewer poll. And we want to know, do you believe pregnant women should avoid taking Tylenol based on current claims? All right, let's take a look. 67% of you say yes, and 33% of you say no. And we do have a comment, I don't have it queued up, but I have it here from Mark. He says, have to follow the science, not politics, on this true story. Thank you for taking part in our viewer poll. You can keep taking part by going to crossroadstoday.com/vote. Still to come on Sunrise, news to know before you go. Coming up, a major deal between a top U.S. company and China is reportedly close to being finalized. Breaking this morning ahead of the General Assembly where President Donald Trump is set to address foreign leaders, the Secret Service has dismantled a hidden telecom network they say that could have crippled cell towers during the UN General Assembly. The New York Times is reporting the Secret Service discovered more than 100,000 SIM cards and 300 servers that could have disrupted cell towers used in surveillance. An agreement between Boeing and China is expected to be finalized soon. On Tuesday, U.S. Ambassador to China David Perdue told reporters that this is a huge deal and it's in the works. It's within final days or weeks of negotiation. No further details of the deal were shared, but Bloomberg reported last month that Boeing was nearing a deal to sell up to 500 aircrafts to China. The Trump administration is tightening restrictions on Iranian diplomats while in the U.S., even down to where they can shop. Iranian diplomats visiting New York for the UN General Assembly will not be allowed to buy goods from wholesale clubs and need approval for luxury purchases. The move is meant to prevent Iranian officials from enjoying privileges while ordinary Iranians face shortages at home. And we want to invite y'all to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV. Just search for Crossroads Today Plus. And I want to remind y'all to be sure to check out Mama Duke tonight on NBC's America's Got Talent. She's a local talent from Palacios that's in the finals. And now let's get our final look at our forecast with Parker.
Well, thanks, Carolina. Good morning, folks, and happy Tuesday. Looking at your sunrise this morning in Victoria, it's looking mighty pretty like it always does. But if you look real closely, you see these kind of taller cloud tops in the background. That one right there, and that one, especially that one right there, those are both showers over the Gulf this morning, starting to move inland. We're going to look at that radar right after this because it's 75 right now in Victoria. Dew point still a degree off, bringing us the high humidity. So apply some hairspray, why don't you, to combat the humidity. Otherwise, with it so humid this morning and a little bit of lift in the atmosphere, we have some rain to talk about. We're really mainly talking about on the immediate coast here this morning. Y'all, you can see inland counties are pretty clear, but we do have a good little scattered cluster of showers, light to moderate actually, maybe even heavy in some areas, headed up towards, I'm going to say right around Point Comfort in the next about half hour. So Point Comfort and areas surrounding the northern part of Matagorda Bay, get ready next half hour. Blessing, y'all get ready the next 10-15 minutes for the rain there. And Bay City, y'all as well for that shower, 10-15 minutes away. But everybody, go ahead and get your umbrellas, I'm thinking, today, because we've got a 30% chance for rain. On the coast, that'll be in the morning time, high 94. But in the inland counties, that'll be for the afternoon. I'm thinking 94 Victoria, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for the rain today, before those chances really skyrocket tomorrow with our alert day and a cool front on the way.
All right.
I'm so excited. I can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you, Parker, and thank y'all for being with us this morning. Be sure to join Shauna, Dawn, Maclovio, and Max for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Make it a great Tuesday.